Everyone at home, grant my Christmas wish and follow us on all social media. That's at HeyQueenTV on Instagram, Twitter, Santa's Only, MrsClaus.org, and all the rest.
Santa's Only.
All right. Oh, Peppermint, I think I hear a bell. I do. Oh, my goodness. Now it's an identical twin, Go Go Ghost, who happens to be sauntering out here just in the same way as the other one. Oh, he wants to take us back to the past. Whoa, while we're here. Oh, thank you, Go-Go of Christmas Past. Oh, yes. What a spooky ghost. Is this not the Halloween show? No, it's not. All right. Wow. Peppermint, here we are. We're in Delaware.
Oh my gosh.
And look, there's little Peppermint. What is she doing? She's dressing up as Boy George, but really she's dressing up as Miss Thing.
Hello.
Tell me about what you were like as a kid.
I think I was really I was just so jolly and so, you know, I loved to dance and I was really talkative. I would always run my mouth. I would always get written up in school for just talking too much. Like that's literally what they would say on the thing. She just talks too much. And yeah, I was undeniably queer as a kid. Like there was no way around it, right? And so.
What was the family reaction to your undeniable queerness?
You know, it's so crazy because my family is really, they're like, you know, they're progressive, I would say. They're all Democrat and they're progressive. So we never had any we would have never had a awkward, you know, Thanksgiving where somebody would have voted for Trump kind of moment, you know? So it seemed like the stage was set for me to just become whoever, whatever. There was a little bit of crunchiness when I came out, when the coming out was bubbling. It hadn't quite come out, but it was like starting to bubble and simmer, you know? And she was cooking. And I remember a couple moments where, you know, there were some reactions from my family that were like, you know.
What exactly? You're sashaying through the kitchen?
My grandmother was a very luxurious woman, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yes.
And she had every fur known to man. I mean, come on, darling, every fur. And so she would always ask me, oh, go get my coat, and I would gladly go help her. So one day, I guess we were getting ready to go out or something, you know, to the commissary, which is where we would go and get basically grocery shopping for the military. And she asked me to go get her fur coat, and before I brought it into the room to her, I was like, let me give this a little, you know, give it a little try.
This really suits me.
Yes, darling. And so, she walked in on me feeling myself in her coat. I was like, oh. And she snatched it off and she was like, you know, you look like a faggot. And that was not, then I was like, oh, something's not right. And so that was upsetting because I kind of thought I had free reign. They'd always been, my grandmother made my Boy George outfit.
Right.
And so it felt like a little bit of a contradiction. It didn't quite feel right. And they had always kind of made excuses for me and my swishiness, just saying, oh, you know, this one's going to be an actor, going to be an artist, very artistic.
Very artistic, yes.
That was where they was I'm so artistic.
We all were so artistic,
darling. I ain't never picked up a brush in my life. And so I thought that just was code for me to just do whatever you want as long as we called it artistic. And when I was on her fur, honey, that turned her, darling. And so she wasn't really happy about that. And then it wasn't too much longer, she passed of lung cancer. So she never had the opportunity to see who I became, but I'd like to think that she'd be proud.
Well, she certainly planted the seeds with letting you have making you that full Boy George outfit.
Yes, darling.
So then you're growing up, you're in high school. When is your first coming out? Because you've had several.
I've had several of them now. First time I ever came out was actually before high school. I was in second grade.
Second grade?
Can you believe it, darling? What's that?
That's 8? Advanced.
Yeah, hello,
yes.
darling. And so I was in second grade and I was on the playground with this classmate, this little boy named Gavin Downs, who I can say his name because we've had a conversation about this since. But I remember just not so much from my family, but more so from everybody else, feeling like, okay, you have to act a certain way, you know, watch what you say, watch how swishy you move, all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of queer people feel that. And so I remember basically entrusting in him and confiding in him that, you know, I'm different. And I didn't have the words or the language to really say what it was, but he understood. He was like, it's cool, I know. And that was it.
Wow.
And so I know that was just two kids saying, I'm different, and somebody saying, I know. But to me, that was like a real coming out and someone actually supporting what we would call today as my identity.
Right.
Even though it wasn't that specific. So then the next time I came out, I was 12, and there was a couple of girls. I had a girlfriend, and then later, either before, I don't remember, I was not cheating. I had a girlfriend, and then I had another girl I had a crush on. They were all very close friends, and eventually I came out to them, and separately 2 different times, but like.
What age was that?
That was age 12.
Oh, okay.
And so.
Again, blazing trails.
Yeah,
You're like,
darling.
I'm coming out before everybody else.
Hello, I'll be early. And so the girl that I came out to, the first girl that I came out to, I had a crush on. Her name was Caroline Caroline Ross. Surprise! And
She's at home like, I can't wait to watch this Christmas spa.
You on it, bitch? You on
Wait a minute.
And she was so cool and welcoming and comforting and supportive. And so that was the beginning. I figured the best way for me to kind of come out would be kind of one by one.
Right.
You know? And so that's what I basically did from 12 through high school.
Having little groups of support that you could share that part of yourself with.
Exactly.
Now, when did you really start to get in those makeup brushes? Now, we know the story about you going in and painting yourself blue with your mama's outfit, being Violet Beauregard. Now, when did that happen?
That was, I must have been 9 or 10 years old.
Blue jumper?
Blue jumper, yeah. I went, my favorite movie at the time was, and probably still is, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the like original.
The original.
Hello, with Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
And so my favorite character was Violet Beauregard, the girl that turns into a blueberry. So my mom left for work. It was a single parent. My mom was just me and my mom, and so she would always go and be a very hardworking mother. And she had this gorgeous blue jumper in the closet. And she pretty much had, I went into her room on many occasions, but on this particular occasion, I opened the closet door and there was the entire blue jumper, red belt, blue shoes, something else. Everything was just singing to me like, here I am, dressed like Violet Beauregard. And so I was like, I gotta dress like Violet Beauregard. And then I put on the blue jumper, and I put on the shoes and the red belt, because Violet had a red belt. And I made a wig out of orange yarn, because she was a redhead.
Right.
And I literally took some masking tape, God, I haven't even thought about this. Took some masking tape, wrapped it around my head, and took length of yarn and put it on my head, and I made myself some hair. And then that was that. I stuffed the pillow. I stuffed the jumper with all these pillows to turn into the blueberry.
You were padding even then.
Padding, darling. And I rolled around on the living room floor by myself in this outfit. Living, darling. Living, rolling around on the floor. And that was it.
So now cut to Porky's in Wilmington, Delaware.
Oh my God,
where you do your first drag gig. Are you also named Violet Beauregard at that time?
No.
Okay.
That was trademarked, I tried.
Okay. But that was your first drag gig.
Yeah, my first drag name was China. I don't know why. Actually, no, it was Angel. It was Angel
very appropriate.
because I did a one-act performance of Rent in Delaware, and I played
How 90s
Angel.
of you,
Hello,
of course.
You know. And so I played Angel, and then I didn't have a drag name, and that was the first time I really got into full drag. And so I just was Angel on and off stage. And that became my name for a couple of years. And so, yeah, I don't even know what song I did. But I had one outfit, which was the same outfit that I wore as Angel in the Rent show.
Of course.
I was just wearing it for a full year.
Oh,
Every time I
wow.
did drag. It was from Rave,
Oh my
a
God.
store
yes.
called Rave, which used to sell all the stuff, darling. And it was like this spandex stretchy dress was black with a white stripe down it. And then it was the same dress for a year. The white stripe turned to beige, turned to like lipstick colored. It was pretty nasty. And yeah, so I was Miss Angel for like a year in my rave dress.
Now, when did you hit New York City? When did that happen?
My first time visiting New York City was, I took a little dip. I brought that same dress and another girlfriend whose name was Nakia Rashika Thunder Pussy. We were...
God love the Thunder Pussy family.
Yes, darling. We worked at the call center for Opera Delaware selling subscriptions during the day and then going to Porky's at night to be queens. And so we went, we said, look, girl, let's take Peter Pan buses, has this new $15 to New York City round trip deal. So we got on the bus, went from Delaware, got on out of drag as boys, got off the bus as girls.
Wow.
Transformed on the bus, on the late night bus, got to New York City around midnight, and it was like Wonderland. It was my first time being there, and we walked around the streets of New York City for about 14 hours in heels, down with the prostitutes, down by the pier, down over by Port Authority, which at that time it was lined with pimps and prostitutes.
Oh yeah.
At night.
It was a different time.
It was a very different time, darling. I was like, oh, he's cute. Oh wait, no. And like it was a lot. And we
You're
were
like,
just,
where are those thigh-high boots from? Incredible.
it was crazy. And we made our way down to like Washington Square Park, went into somebody's house party where they were sipping wine, and we didn't know anybody, but they were like, come on up. It was a different era. That was my first time to New York City, and I fell in love with it then. So then I applied for colleges and came back a year later to go to the American Musical and Dramatic.
Right, of course. And that was the gateway to everything.
Yeah.
Dancing, singing, the
All of it.
full force faggotry.
And I also started my business because I was there, it was probably the first week or two, and somebody's like, come on out to this party called Curfew at the Tunnel.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And so initially I was just getting dressed and going to the Tunnel, paying to get in. And then I was like, wait a minute, this isn't quite working for me because I'm paying. Because I'm paying and I'm dressing and nobody else is really dressing. So I eventually was like, let me make a deal with y'all. Can I just come for free? I'll come for free.
Right? Don't I look great?
I'll come for free and just don't make me pay. And then eventually that turned into me getting paid to be there, $50 a week.
It was a different time.
Very different time. And eventually they were like, if you want to earn more money, bring all your classmates. So then during the day, while we were supposed to be studying, I was like, pass this sign-up sheet around. I'll get you in for a discount at the Tunnel. Right. And I had the entire class coming to the Tunnel late at night on, I think it was Friday nights we did. Saturday nights at the Tunnel for like a good 2 years, earning coin.
Right. And that's, I think, where we first met.
That's
Was
where we
at
first
Curfew. I was performing as gay pimp. You were doing the door,
Yeah.
making guys kiss to prove they were gay because it was the gay entrance.
Yep. It was the gay entrance, and it was cheaper.
Yeah.
And you had access to the whole club if you went in the gay entrance. If you went in the straight entrance, you could stay in the straight room. And so everybody wanted to come in the cheap gayer entrance. It was basically VIP.
Right.
And you'd see them a mile away. Two couples come in, two heterosexual couples coming up the thing, and then they would like at the last minute switch, and then be like, "Oh, we're gay," and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, darling, prove it." And they would. Half the time they'd be like, "La, la, la." I know we were changing lives.
Whatever it
Changing
takes.
lives, darling.
Now, flash forward a couple years from there, you're the queen of New York City. I mean, there was a point, sweetie, where actually you and I started working together when you were sort of bubbling up.
Yeah.
Because I would see you do your shows. We always were like, look at Peppermint. She looks like she's having a wonderful time. Because you'd be like, hi, everyone. Just a ray of bubbly sunshine. And you and me and Adam Joseph and Linda James got together, and we wrote you your first song, which was?
Song, Serving It Up.
Yes. Oh. And then from there, you took it and ran with it, honey.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. You approached me because it was initially supposed to be written for just a performance.
Right.
At Earth or something.
Yeah, I was doing a curated thing where I was turning all my favorite nightlife people into pop stars.
And you did it, darling. Even Mila Jam was on the
Right, yeah.
And so, and so you approached me and I was like, okay, this sounds like fun. It'll be a performance and we need a song to do at the performance, so let's do the song. And so that's what it started out as, and it became everything. I obviously started performing it around, and it was just the perfect timing. I had a couple opportunities to travel, and they're like, well, what song are you gonna do? I was like, oh, let me just do Serving It Up.
Right,
It's,
my single.
And so then I was like, let's shoot a video for it. And so everything just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I was, thanks to that moment that you invited me in for, we shot the video and sent it off to Logo, a brand new channel.
It was the right
Logo,
time.
Yeah. And they were playing music videos, and my video was the first drag queen music video to ever play on Logo.
Yeah, well, we were ahead of the game, sweetie.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
we were ahead of the game. Way ahead.
It's true.
You were rapping in music videos before any of these hoes.
Hello.
Bloop.
Hello, children. To see part 3 of this interview, click here. To see more Hey Qween fabulousness, click here. And don't forget to subscribe, bitch! Hey! Hey! Hey!